Okay. All right.
If you want to start with, who are you?
I don't know. I have no idea who I am. Zero inclination of that.
Okay, but what's the thing that people call you?
Asshole. They call me Santino Jones and Alex and Hoyle. And yeah, those three things usually. Yeah.
And can I ask when music became is music your primary form of creative expression?
I have no idea. I like to make it, and I enjoy that people resonate, and like I can play a show and people have fun, but I never want to tell myself that I have one thing that like I really like to do, because then I feel like that's just like that's a box, because I like to draw and I like filming stuff, and I also like to dance, and there's multiple forms of expression. I just think music has a real magic to it, that has created some nice attraction in this community. So,
and what's the magic in it for you?
Oh, sense of healing. Like I've had like traumatic experiences and have made songs about those traumatic experiences, and then on the other side I've felt more like a kid again, like I felt more innocence return to me after like processing like painful stuff, At the end of the day, it's really all for me. And if someone else is like resonating with it and relating to it, then cool,
I guess what draw you to creating music in the first place?
Just the nature, just an innate sense of like, this feels good,
I'm recognizing that I may be touching on some of the questions we had in the canoe. I asked you what was your earliest memory of creative expression. Do you remember what you said?
Yeah, I said I danced to Jamiroquai for like 8 hours when I was like 3 years old. I danced so much that I was sore the next day and like I couldn't walk. So I guess there's something in me that is like music, So
what is it about Jamiroquai, I wonder?
What isn't it about Jamiroquai, bro? Like, you seen Napoleon Dynamite? Jamiroquai is basically the protagonist of that movie, He saves the movie. Like, gives Napoleon the platform to really express himself,
What are some other influences you have for your music?
Jimi Hendrix, for sure. His spirit. That dude clearly didn't have an agenda, He just wanted to make music.
I'm thinking of... I was reading a Patti Smith book, and she was talking about a moment where she met Jimi Hendrix, where she had like excused herself from a party, was sitting outside of it writing in a book, and he came up and sat down next to her and just starts talking about this grand plan that he has to make everybody in the universe play an instrument at the same time. And if everybody was playing all at the same time, eventually they'd all start playing the same thing. And that is how we would reach world peace.
Dude, that is like, oh my God. That makes me so happy that someone else has felt like that before. Because it's like, that in a way is kind of the key to our survival as a species, is like harmony. Like we spend so much time in this form of like, I need to dominate this. I need to conquest and go on, like take over and control, and this land is mine, and da 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 da. And it's like, I don't think that's why we're here, but we get caught up in our own heads. Maybe we'll get there. Maybe we won't.
I understand that that's kind of like a grand scheme. It's an agenda of a lot of people in power in the world.
Yeah.
It's interesting how, like, a lot of really creative people don't have any interest in participating in those hierarchy
mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
definitely.
just not what it's about.
No.
And I feel like for some people, it's so innate to just connect with people.
Yeah, definitely.
And acknowledging the fact that, like, if everything's just gonna end someday, like, from my experience on this planet,
Yeah.
what was I doing just trying to, like, control other people or, like, gain some sort of social standing? Like, none of that actually matters.
I think you were letting your fear be your guide, you know? Look at where that's got us. It's got us in a place of confusion and anxiety. And, like, I mean, think about when you're a kid. You kind of harmonize with everything. Everything is new. Oh, that's a new flower. Oh, that's a new thing I've never seen before. Oh my gosh, I never thought I could experience this. I think when you get older, you think that the surprises are going to stop happening. But I think it's just because we think that is how things get when we're older. But creative people keep that innocence alive to serve as a reminder to everybody else that, like, we're not done growing and evolving, you know?
One thing that I think about in terms of kids and their openness and their natural ability to be creative is that, like, they often don't carry this fear of failure to them.
Right.
They are new to everything.
Right.
And so it's just an experience to be had versus, like, something to succeed at.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think that shift in perspective makes a really big difference.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I wouldn't mind hearing a bit about is making music or exercising your creativity a side effect of coping with the world?
Yeah. Absolutely, man. I mean, music is, like, what did this dude say to me one time? I forgot his name, so I can't quote him. But he was like, music is the bridge between our world and, like, a spiritual one, you know? So, like, that's what we have as a reminder that, like, there's something else. You know, when you hear a new song and you feel revitalized and you feel connected to and you feel like this person understands you, even if that relationship is parasocial, it still hits a part of you. Sometimes it hits a part of you that is in a lot of pain, and then you feel like, oh, like, it actually is going to be okay. And, like, someone else has gone through this and they've made it to the other side, and, like, they feel lighter and better and, like, more akin to who they truly are.
Do you feel like you are able to reach that point of pure creative expression where it's not kind of clouded with these ego-driven thoughts? Do you feel you're able to reach that point in your creative process? And how frequently does that happen?
You know, it happens more when I draw than when I make music, honestly. Like, when I put a marker to a piece of paper, it's like, I don't even feel like I'm the one drawing. You know, I feel like I let go, and it's like, wow, like, there's so much to do here, and I don't have the fear of, like, someone else's perception, you know? Because you're dead in the water if you're already contemplating on what someone's reaction is going to be, you know? Because that's your perception of what their reaction is going to be. It's not even real, you know? You're already limiting yourself from expansion because you're like, they're not going to like this. Well, it's not for them. It's for you, you know?
In your collaborative process, what do you seek for in a collaborative environment?
Definitely no ego, for sure. Definitely, like, man, we're here, whatever you feel, let's do it. And every time that's happened, something has happened that I couldn't even imagine. You know, that's the beautiful thing, is, like, when two people are working together without an agenda, without, like, oh, we need to hit this and this and this and this, so we can, like, you know, have the catchy hook that I'm going to drill into someone's head on TikTok, and I'm going to make 20 TikToks about it before the song comes out. So when it comes out, everyone is like, oh my God, I can't wait to hear it because I've been addicted to this chorus for like X amount of time. then it becomes like the possibilities open up, because the world exists beyond the horizon of your imagination. And when you end up creating something that neither of the people thought was going to happen, that is like that spiritual progress. And we still have a lot of work to do as like people to understand that part about ourselves.
Mm-hmm. What do you feel like are some...
Oh, the cigarette kombucha? Nah.
You care about your gut health, but not your lung health.
I care about both, but like cigarettes are fun, like, and this is like bringing me back to Earth.
What do you feel are some hindrances to like a pure creative expression?
The music industry, 1000%, because we've commodified music, and I mean look at like tribes in like a less civilized world, and like indigenous populations. They use music as part of their tradition to connect. Drum circles, like it has nothing to do with the song length or, one person being dominant or having more like power in the room. It's about everyone connecting. So I think when we commodify music and turn it into this thing that's a product, it boxes it in, and it makes it like, oh, I can sell this because now I know people like it, and I can make more like this because now I know people like that. And that is like just contradictory to the reasoning for its existence. I don't think money and music are supposed to go together, but we're at the point where that is a real thing, and now you can make a career out of it, and it can really screw with your like process, because you're adding in this element of financial benefit, which isn't natural.
Do you think that you've fallen victim to that cycle before?
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Especially as a rapper, because like the root of like hip hop is like revolutionary. The root of hip hop is like, we're gonna highlight the things that are happening in our system that are oppressing us, and there's so much power in that. I mean, what did Rolling Stone rate like Fight the Power as like one of the most important songs of all time? Mm-hmm. Public Enemy wasn't in that for the money. They were in that because they had to send a message. And look at how much that amplified like that feeling. Look at like All Right by Kendrick Lamar or Alabama by John Coltrane. Like these are all things that like were like, oh, the world's can I cuss?
Sure. The
world's fucked up, and like we're gonna talk about it. But then powers that be, big music industry heads are like, oh no, like people are actually waking up. That means we're gonna make less money. It's just the same as the oil industry not wanting to convert to renewable resources because they're gonna lose money. It's the same as the pharmaceutical industry not wanting to tell you that you could spend $20 on these supplements and probably feel way better than the thousands of dollars you're going to spend in doctor's appointments and taking all this shitty medication that's going to fuck you up. It's like that across the board. It's politicians being in bed with corporate entities. It's like, it's all kind of the same fear-based, like, we're going to have less money, so we're going to have less security. But that form of thinking is what's going to kill us. And the earth is getting kind of tired of it, And if we don't find a way to harmonize, then we lose this privilege of being alive on this planet because we don't deserve it.
Wouldn't mind tying in the importance of having like an artistic or creative community mm-hmm. with what we're getting into currently.
Yeah.
Why is a creative community important?
Because it's a place where everyone comes together. You're at a show for 2 hours and then you forget about what time it is, and you mosh with your friends, and you all hear the same song at the same time, and you're all in the same room experiencing the same thing. Everyone here is on the same frequency for a second. I think it's super important because it reminds us that like we're not in competition.
people who've been here for so many years, for example, might not realize the kind of importance or like impact of this very rich creative environment that we are in.
Absolutely.
You know, I think it can kind of get taken for granted after a while, and I just think kind of delving into the importance of existing within it intentionally, and the idea of like bringing people up with you. Yeah. Like, I know you mentioned a few times, like, we're not competing with each other.
Yeah, definitely.
You know?
Definitely.
I think that, I don't know, you can't give too much energy to people who aren't willing to participate in that way. Mm-hmm. But I feel like all you can do is just kind of lead by example, that like this healing environment, this encouraging each other to express ourselves in this constructive kind of way, and this connection, this human connection that we are facilitating by, you know, creating these environments is what we're striving for. It's really all you can do. Yeah, you know?
Definitely.
What kind of impact are you hoping that your music has with people?
I don't think that far, honestly, you know, because then that ties back into like being caught up in the perception of what someone else's experience is going to be. And that also takes the fun out of it. It's like you're going to put out a song and you're like, I'll see what happens. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have close homies who are like, I show music to and whatever. And, you know, I'm like, do you think this is working? Do you think it isn't working? You know, at the end of the day, no one's opinion about my music is as important as my opinion about my music, because no one on this planet has the same experience on this planet as me, you know, so I'm gonna know really what resonates at the end of the day from my own voice. And yeah, if I spend time to think about the impact, then I'm not spending my time correctly just creating.
How do you feel like your expression has evolved or changed over the years?
Definitely gotten just more confident. I still question myself all the time, though. And I don't think that is supposed to change. I think that in that little state of like questioning and experimenting, that's when beautiful stuff happens. And it's an uncomfortable state to be in, but like it feels aligned with who I am, and if that's a part of the process, that's okay. I think confidence has grown, but I'm still the nervous 14-year-old, you know, that like I was rapping with my friends and making beats, and you know, because that's the inner child. I don't really ever want to figure it all out, because then what's going to be new after that?
I think you mentioned you used to go down to Chicago to those events that Chance the Rapper would organize.
Yeah, the open mics. Yeah.
I wouldn't mind hearing a little bit about that environment.
Man, I just felt like I was home. Honestly, like 18 years old, show up to this open mic, you sign up, and my nerdy ass was like the first one there, like 2 hours early, you know? Yeah, I mean, it just felt, I was just in this room with all these people that create, and I'm in this room with this dude that I really admire, you know, who was kind of like, fuck the industry. I mean, he independently made it all the way to like working with some of the biggest artists in the world, and he never let go of that sense of integrity, you know, which is like hugely like important for people to pick up on. You know, the impact that Chance the Rapper had as an independent artist is insane. I was equally excited and also like nervous, because there was all that energy there, and that those nerves are always just energy that you're gonna transform into like a form of expression. You know, that's why I get nervous, because I know I have something in me that is gonna be shared.
You still get nervous?
Nervous right now. I'm like, my mom's gonna see me smoking cigarettes in this fucking interview.
I thought about that too.
Well, in that case, I think I should smoke another.
This one's for you, Mom.
Yeah. She's like, you don't seem like a smoker. I'm like, dope. Love that.
I'm thinking about that performance of yours I saw in the public library.
Oh my god.
I loved that.
Thank you.
You're playing with Josiah. And it's just, I've never seen a show in a public library before.
Neither. Yeah.
Whose idea was that?
Jennifer Hudson. Sounds of the Zoo.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I liked that. I love when an event kind of challenges the norms in the first place.
That was
you know?
a challenging show, for sure. For sure.
I remember you covering
Kendrick
I Love
Lamar.
Myself.
Yeah. Great song. Great. It's one of the most important songs ever made. Truly. Who's that lady? That's such a sick flip, man. That shit's so crazy.
Yeah, I'm curious what you think some of the other like best songs of all time are.
Songs of all time?
Yeah.
All right. What? Okay. Oh my god. Songs of all time. You gotta give me like a number. You gotta, give me like 3? Fuck. Okay. 3 best songs of all time? Ooh.
This is just what you think right at this
What
moment.
I think right at this moment. 3 best songs of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's gotta be some D'Angelo in there. Let's say Africa by D'Angelo. First one that comes to mind. Oh man. Gotta be a Stevie Wonder song. For sure. What's the one where he's like, it's like Off Songs of the Key of Life or whatever. I can't think of it right now. I'm sorry, Stevie.
Or you could just sing it though.
No, I can't. I can't. As a placeholder for Stevie Wonder, I'll say "Golden Lady" by Stevie Wonder. Ooh. See, 2.5 hours of sleep, bro. This is what you get. And First Time Ever I Saw Your Face by Roberta Flack. Those are just the first 2 that came to my mind. Dive more into me.
Yeah, or into you, because
Fuck.
not everybody knows who you are, and I want people to know who you are.
That makes one of us. Okay. What would you like to know?
Well, how would you describe the music that you make?
I would never describe the music that I make.
You're still on that pit.
I'm always going to be like that. I'm always going to be like that. You could describe it as like forever evolving and changing.
I feel like at least one piece of the puzzle of the music that you make is like conscious rap.
Okay, for sure. Yeah.
I want to hear more about your ideal environment for expressing your music.
Obviously, yes, the studio, a place that's dedicated to making music is always important.
Is that solo?
No, I'm work with an engineer when it's time to record, because I've realized I don't enjoy being in the technical and the artistic place at the same time. I think that kind of takes me out. I mean, I like to produce on my own and stuff, but I like when I'm with someone who's better than me at recording. That gives me a sense of comfort. It's like, all right, like, whatever happens there, that's a collaborative process, because engineering is an art form within itself. But I mean, sometimes like a good kitchen is great for writing. Like I write a lot in my kitchen. I think it's because I worked at this restaurant called Martini's for a long time, and I found a lot of peace there, which is like prepping food and cutting tomatoes and just chilling. So I like to create in kitchens. That's a good environment. My living room, my bed. I'm just in bed, like looking at lyrics. Like last couple of days, I've just been waking up. Usually, I have like a morning routine of like I run and meditate and eat and align myself for the day the best that I can. But sometimes I just wake up and I have to write the song like right away. Sometimes I'm in my car. Sometimes I'm on a walk. I think the ideal environment for creating things changes based on, I don't know, where I'm at. If you stay open to it, it hits you when it's supposed to. My goals for making music? Just tell my story the best I can, talk about like the conflict that's within me and, display that in a way that's honest and truthful and engaging and fun, and scary and sad, because those are all things that I feel and I experience.
The conflict within you.
Yeah.
Wouldn't mind hearing about that.
The conflict within me. I'm a human. I have definite conflicts within me. Like I have things that I want that I don't need, for sure. I've always really wanted to be a successful person. I've always really wanted to be the guy, that has all of the money and all the resources so I can give other people opportunities, But that can put an insane, unrealistic amount of pressure on a person. So then I become resentful towards myself because I'm not at a place where I would like to be. You can't stay in this place of I'm always trying to catch up with me, but that does happen to me sometimes. Yeah, and I get mad and angry and sad and do things out of emotion that I look back at later damn, I shouldn't have done that. But we've all done that.
You said something like, if you stay open, then it will hit you.
Yeah.
I'm curious, what are some of the things that you do to stay open?
Meditation's good. Exercise for sure. Running. When I go for a run, it's such a simple task, and it kind of helps me collect my thoughts for sure. Talking to other people, collaborating, experiencing new things. Also, shameless plug, dude, fucking Tin Man, Tin Can. By Dead People Park, go listen to it because it's awesome. It's so good. It's so good. But yeah, even that, listening to other people that I know that make music that I would listen to even if I didn't know you, that's insanely inspiring because it's wow, this is something that came from my friend. That's crazy,
Yeah.
I've always been a huge advocate for my friends because it's nice to know that your peers are making stuff that I don't know, are as honest as the things that you want to make. Sometimes I think about when I'm making music, I'm man, would the homies like this when I was 16, riding around in our shitty little cars, skipping class, stuff like that. Stuff like that, for sure.
Your upcoming music.
Stuff? Well,
Whatever
I was.
You're willing to share.
Yeah, of course. I was about to drop a song called "The Sirens." It was going to come out on April 18th, and then my great grandfather died, and he was a huge part of my life. Huge. These are his pants, actually, and this is his college class ring. I just got it this week because we were going through the family stuff. That is kind of my main focus right now, is just being with my family and celebrating his life and being present with people that I grew up with, and because they're a huge inspiration for my life too. I've really enjoyed writing the last week or so to kind of deal with the feelings of grief and joy and kind of how all that mixes together when you lose somebody. And that has helped me kind of organize some songs that I've had that I'm kind of feeling are fitting together. The plan is to release a couple singles in the next few months, definitely in the summertime. I got one that's coming out maybe soon if the recording process goes well next week. Just gonna take it slow, probably a project out of it, probably a decent, cohesive story. But we'll see, man. We'll see what happens.
It is starting as some singles dropping though.
Most likely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was the single that was supposed to come out on the 18th?
It was called The Sirens. I made it with Samuel Peters and Don Bolter and Tyler Robinson and Emma Weinman. Just one of those ones where I had the beat, wrote the lyrics, went to the studio, laid them down, boom, it was there. It was ready to go. Then we shot the video with Alejandro Anaya, and everything just kind of lined up, and it was like super dope. But not the time. Just not ready yet.
Mm-hmm.
It's not ready yet.
Yeah, it's certainly something that you have complete control over.
Absolutely,
how much of yourself that you
want to share, and then when you go through a process like grief, it's like, slow down,
Mm-hmm.
Everything is kind of happening on its own time for its own reason.
Mm-hmm.
So,
if you're willing to talk about it, I wouldn't mind hearing about, like, you said you were really close with your great grandfather.
Mm-hmm.
What are some qualities that you were appreciative of?
Oh man, he was just a really open-hearted, funny, honest, like blunt person. Like he was also like my first best friend. I mean, I didn't grow up with a father, right? I was raised by my mom and my grandmother. And he was my great-grandfather. So he was like the father of my grandmother, which is already such a rare occurrence, But, I mean, he would pick me up from school all the time. He would go like mini golfing and watch movies. And like when Samurai Jack was on, like we would have to watch it at 8 o'clock every Friday, like I feel like there's something about our relationship that's really special to me because I never felt judged by him. He was always just like, whatever you do, it's your life, and like you should enjoy it because it's your life. Like that's I was like, I'm not going to college. Okay, you like music? Yeah. Okay. Well, it's your life. I mean, that was just like my guy. And it's still my guy. I mean, I don't know what happens in the afterlife, but I've definitely felt almost an instant presence the night he died. That's been really comforting and like there for me, and has been able to like help me kind of figure out some things about myself. Because it's funny like that, right? You lose somebody and then all their memories flood, and then you realize their impact on you. And it really isn't something that can happen when people are alive.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a weird thing to experience as a human. It's like after they're gone, then you can really reflect. What's the Obama quote? Change doesn't happen until after we leave the room, or that's like a paraphrase, but that's definitely something I'm experiencing right now. And I think that's going to be something that I'm going to put into the music that I'm really excited to share with other people, that like what he did for me. I think it's going to be great for me to share that. And yeah, that's my dog, man. For real. The last thing I heard him say, this is like a testament to his personality. The last thing I heard Hugh Hoyle say was shut the fuck up. You know what I'm saying? We were in the hospital and he's like kind of like in and out, as some people are leaving, they're in and out, but he just wakes up and my uncle's talking to him and he just goes, shut the fuck up, and then like goes back to sleep. And I was like, yo, that's so hard. Like, I want that to be my last quote. Like, that's so sick, bro. That's so sick. Do not go gentle, bro. Like, for real. Like, he to the bitter end, he was like, nah. That's my guy, man. Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that.
Of course.
I feel like talking about grief and losing somebody is not something everybody's willing or wanting to do.
I mean, I've lost people before and I haven't wanted to talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, but I've lost a decent amount of people in my life that were pretty close to me now, where it's like you kind of gain some sort of understanding of death's impact on you while you're alive, and I think being sad is a part of it, but I think it's just also about like the grief is there because of the love you have, and as long as you do your best to stay as grounded as possible, what that grief is meant to be for you is like a propulsion into being just more alive. Because there's two things that are promised to us in life are death and change. Death hasn't happened to me yet, but change is forever happening, and it definitely happens when someone dies.
Losing someone like Jeff, for example, kind of propelled me not only to live more, but to be more compassionate and empathetic and supportive of the people in my vicinity.
Man, I mean, talk about that. That's what I'm talking about, the impact. It's like we felt that shift, and then we all got together that same day. Then we went to the funeral, then we had an open mic, and now, like, we didn't realize who we had until he was gone. But that is the most Jeffrey thing to do, is like, oh, y'all not paying attention? Watch this, and like now he's like on some other level that's there for us, to stay connected and stay together and maintain that sense of community that you were talking about, because that is the most important thing in this world. And
he was like truly the biggest advocate
for everybody,
for
every human being he met, and he had no fear. He would call me at 2 a.m. and read me a poem, even if I wasn't truly present. He'd be like, man, don't, like, you're Santino Jones, like, you got this, like, like, you are him, bro, like, you're him. Like, he would always be like that, no matter what. Now we just all carry that to everybody else.
It does feel, it's not a job, it's like a legacy, to carry on. That energy of uplifting other people, connecting with people, expressing ourselves, and thanking and appreciating people who choose to express themselves.
Yes.
I feel like that inner child in everybody just wants to be kind of acknowledged, and I feel like that Jeff saw that in people and just ran with it. He
could see it in you right away. He was gifted with that ability.
That I see you doing that connecting with yourself and creating something out of that experience and sharing that with other people. Like, I see you doing that. Keep doing that.
I don't know. Yeah, Jeff would be like, yeah, exactly.
It wouldn't be in so many words, but that's where it came from, I feel like.
All the time. All the time.
He's like, oh, you went back to source for a little bit and came on down and now chose to connect with people about it. That's good. Yeah. Keep doing that.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
exactly.
That's the thing to propel forward, I feel like.
Yeah.
I like what you said about losing somebody is about loving them. Like, that grief is about loving them.
Yeah, it's a reminder. It's a huge reminder. That weight, that heaviness you feel is all that love that you have inside. Absolutely.
Do you have anything else that you'd like to say?
Not many thoughts up here, not many. Thank you for having me, and shout out to the void. To the void, bro. I get, final thoughts are just thank you for everything you do. I mean, it's clearly something you really care about and something that you want to do for other people to maintain that sense of connection and authenticity. And thanks for having me here to talk about me for a little bit. What are your top 3 songs of all time?
Keep Your Head Up.
Tupac? Okay.
I love Spanish Joint by D'Angelo.
Yo, for real.
And probably like it's got to be a Nina Simone song.
Okay.
There's a recording of Nina Simone, Black and Gold. It was on that record. I think it was the 3rd song on that record.
Okay, for sure. I want to inject some Lauryn Hill in there somewhere.
Oh, inject Lauryn.
Yeah, I want to inject some Lauryn Hill. I mean, like X Factor. I mean, come on, bro. They're like all love songs for me today. I don't know why.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think that's, love songs are, you know, on a literal level, yeah, they're about somebody, but on a metaphoric level, it can be about a lot of different things, you know.
I love
Nothing Even Matters by Lauryn Hill and D'Angelo too.
Yes.
Were you about to say that?
I was gonna bring up like at that same library show, Jay covered "The Way" by Jill Scott.
Oh yeah, that's a great song.
I love that.
That's a great song. That's a yeah. Toast to scrambled eggs. Yeah.
No, my
Grits. That is insane. That's such a crazy choice to just stretch out grits like that's so crazy, bro. Words and Sounds Volume 1. That is one of the best albums of all time, for sure. For sure.
I've been really loving Billy Woods. Like,
see, I'm not even into that world yet. I'm not even into like the Griselda world.
Good luck.
Like I'm scared. I'm low-key
it will
scared.
take you for a little while.
See, and that's why. You want to know something else that's like really sad? I've never listened through a whole Bon Iver album. I've never listened through a whole Sufjan Stevens album either. And everyone's like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" You know. There's a lot of stuff I still have yet to explore, for sure.
Billy Woods and Arm & Hammer.
Yeah.
I met Billy Woods.
That's sick.
We went to a show in Talia Hall. I remember I felt horrible. Yeah. I was just like sitting on the floor and I'm like, I can't leave. I'm like, I have to see Billy Woods. I was stoked to be there. And
were you like sick or something?
Yeah, but my stomach I had such a sharp pain in my stomach.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't leave because I wanted to meet him after this show.
Yeah.
And so we went up to him. He was at his merch table, and he generally is pretty anonymous. Like, he's
chilling. Yeah.
He tries not to have his face really seen. He changed the lights for his show so he's less seen the whole time. And I gave him a void scene. And he looks through it, he's like pandering through it, and he just goes, "Fuck, I love shit like this."
Yo. That's awesome.
And I shook his hand, and I was like,
there you go, dude. There you go.
Like, oh, I'm content for the foreseeable future.
There you go. Yeah. So I gotta check out Billy Woods. Okay, for sure.
He's incredible.
For sure.
All right, those are.
Is that it?
I think so.
Is that everything? Okay, cool.
It's kind of funny. They don't normally just trail off like this.
Hey, whatever. It's the sleep deprivation vibe. It's catching on to y'all, for real. I'm gonna go home and sleep. For real.
All right, thank you. I appreciate you sharing where you're at with us today.
Of course. Thanks for having me, man. For real.